Roasting acorn squash is a delicious and simple way to bring out the natural sweetness and nutty flavor of this versatile winter vegetable. Acorn squash is a member of the gourd family and is widely enjoyed for its smooth texture and rich taste. Whether you're a seasoned chef or a beginner in the kitchen, learning how to roast acorn squash is an excellent skill to have. In this comprehensive guide, we'll take you through the step-by-step process of roasting acorn squash, along with some delightful variations and serving suggestions. Understanding acorn squash. Acorn squash, scientifically known as cucurbita pepo, is a winter squash variety that derives its name from its acorn-like shape and distinctive ridges. It is typically small to medium size, with a dark green or orange-yellow skin and bright orange flesh. This nutritious vegetable is a rich source of vitamins A and C, as well as fiber and potassium. Selecting the perfect acorn squash. When it comes to roasting acorn squash, choosing the right one is essential. Look for squash that feels firm and heavy for its size, with a smooth, unblemished skin. Avoid any squash with soft spots, mold, or cuts, as these can indicate spoilage. Preparing the squash. Before roasting, it's essential to prepare the acorn squash properly. Start by washing the squash under cool running water to remove any dirt or debris. Using a sharp knife, carefully cut the squash in half lengthwise. Be cautious as acorn squash can be quite dense and may require some effort to cut through. Removing the seeds. Once the squash is hard, use a spoon to scoop out the seeds and stringy pulp from the center. You can discard the seeds or consider saving them for roasting separately as a tasty snack. Seasoning options. Roasting acorn squash allows for various seasoning options to enhance its flavor. A classic choice is to drizzle the squash halves with olive oil, sprinkle with salt and pepper, and add a touch of brown sugar or maple syrup for a hint of sweetness. You can also get creative with spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, or even a dash of cayenne pepper for a spicy kick. Roasting process. Preheat your oven to around 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius. Place the prepared squash halves, cut side up, on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper or aluminum foil. If you prefer a softer texture, cover the squash halves loosely with foil during the initial roasting period, then remove it for the last few minutes to allow the squash to agar and develop a beautiful golden color. Roasting time. The roasting time for acorn squash can vary depending on the size and ripeness of the squash. On average, it takes about 30 to 45 minutes for the squash to become tender and fully cooked. You can test for doneness by inserting a fork or knife into the flesh. It should glide in easily without resistance. Serving suggestions. Roasted acorn squash is a delightful side dish that pairs well with various main courses. It complements poultry, pork, or vegetarian dishes beautifully. You can also serve it as a base for salads. Stuff it with quinoa or other grains, or mash it for a creamy and flavorful alternative to mashed potatoes. Variations. While the classic roasted acorn squash is delicious on its own, there are numerous variations you can explore. For a savory twist, consider stuffing the squash with a mixture of cooked wild rice, chopped vegetables, and herbs. Top it with a sprinkle of vegan cheese for a mouthwatering vegan delight. Alternatively, you can stuff the squash with a mixture of sautéed apples, cranberries, and pecans for a festive and comforting dish. Roasting acorn squash is a delightful culinary experience that brings out the best of this winter vegetable's flavors. Whether you're looking for a savory or sweet dish, acorn squash can be customized to suit your taste preferences and dietary needs. With the knowledge of how to roast acorn squash, you can elevate your cooking skills and impress family and friends with a delectable and nutritious dish that celebrates the beauty of winter produce. So, go ahead and embark on a culinary adventure with acorn squash, and savor the warmth and comfort it brings to your table.